Hi, I'm Michael Hutchison. Welcome to another episode of Profiles in Persistence TV. My guest today is Tom Alkazin. Tom and his wife Bethany have been married 34 years. I haven't met Bethany, but when I heard that she's from Darlington, South Carolina, I knew that I liked her right away. So there's a few things you should know about Tom before we get started. One, he got started in network marketing back in 1975. I read that he was a computer programmer and spent his first year out of college working for somebody else, but he's been a network marketing professional his entire career. There's a few things that you should also know about Tom. He's an 8-figure earner. He's a giver. He's a contributor. Everybody that I mentioned that I was going to have this chance to spend time with him talked about what a loving and caring father, husband, and networker that he is, which really makes him truly one of the greatest networkers that we have a chance to have on the program. The other thing that you need to know is that he contributes to others' growth. Tom, welcome to today's program.
Michael, thank you. Pleasure to be with you today.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Let's let the audience get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Tell us about your upbringing. Focus on what it was like to grow up as Tom as a young man.
Sure.
But in particular, because of the profile and persistence, talk to us about any peaks or valleys that you experienced as a young man growing up.
Sure. Happy to do that. I think the thing that everybody wants, Michael, is family. And I was fortunate and blessed to be raised in a great family here in the San Diego area originally, and my mom and dad. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and we all grew up here, went to school here, went to college in different areas. But I think as I look back on my life, probably the strongest foundation that I have today came originally from my family, from a loving set of parents, good brothers. We're a family, always have been a family of faith, and so when I look back at the very beginnings, when I look at my life today and for Bethany and our family today, I can look back and see, so to speak, the foundation that was set in the very beginning by both of my parents.
Gosh, I remember reading in high school, though, that you had a setback. You weren't able to sell what was described as the world's finest chocolates.
Well, you know what? It really is true. I mean, even amidst this great family environment, I didn't have a strong self-image. I think I felt okay about myself, but I think there was a certain amount of reservation that I had about my ability to reach out to somebody else, and so that was the joke that I failed at selling world's finest chocolate in high school. I had to everything I brought home, my mom bought, so that I didn't look bad, sending it all back. So, and of course, that kind of carried with me into my first introduction to this industry, where I kind of had this dilemma. I had this hope and this dream and this desire of doing better, but then I had this reservation, kind of built-in reservation. Could I really do something like that?
But what caused the reservation? So you had loving parents and
Yeah.
good brothers, but I mean, what held you back?
Well,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because the thing that I also know is that you have an uncanny ability to get in and bring out the best in other people. So I'm trying to figure out what causes that drive in you, something that seemingly had a nurturing environment, but you were perhaps held back in some way.
You know what? I think what it was I think the family, we were humble. We were a humble family. I mean, we never were terribly outgoing. My parents were terribly never outgoing in that regard, and so I think we were just somewhat guarded, and I think that I didn't realize that I really could help other people. That and once I got in, I got the order of events correct, meaning that phrase, of course, that Zig Ziglar said years ago: you can have anything you want in life if you first help enough other people get what they want. Well, I all of a sudden realized that people, virtually everybody wants the same thing. And if we could just reach out to somebody, allow them to open up and share those thoughts and those feelings, I just think it was a closed, kind of a closed environment. Healthy, happy, certainly not any problems in that regard. But I just didn't realize the greatness that I had, what I was able to give.
Got it. You and I have a similar background. My father was a military pilot, and I grew up in a very loving, 3 brothers,
Sure.
Strict Catholic family.
Yeah, us too.
And but around the dinner table, there wasn't a whole lot of conversation. My father was very introverted, very quiet.
Yep.
And if you didn't engage with my dad like this, nothing would be said.
Yes.
But if you engaged with my dad,
Yeah.
he transformed.
Yeah.
He turned on.
Yeah.
And so I grew up that way, shy, quiet, very reserved and guarded.
Yeah.
But I, like you, have an insatiable need to care and love people.
Right.
And I know that in you as well.
Yes.
And
yes.
so the great thing is that's what's made you who you are today. But let's go back to that decision that you made to become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
To enter the network marketing profession.
Yes.
I remember reading that as a computer programmer, you had a plate next to your computer with the word freedom.
Yeah.
But where did that come from?
Well, you know what? It was such a great experience. Those early days were just absolutely phenomenal, starting with this desire just to make $200 a month. Now, I'd worked for 1 year for somebody else, and I was only 23 at the time, and I fast forwarded my life 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I looked down the hall, I looked at the other engineers that worked where I worked, and I kind of thought, okay, I kind of see how they live and what they do and so on, and great, good family people, great people, loved what they did, at least it seemed like they did. So there was no judgment about that until that moment in time when I was introduced. The old adage is the mind once expanded never goes back, right? And I was introduced to this idea, this concept of residual income. And all of a sudden I thought, oh my gosh, there really is no limitation on what I can earn other than what I choose, or what I decide. And so personal development, in a word, in a phrase, entered my life through my entrance into this industry, and I all of a sudden started to realize literally that the things, that the hopes and the dreams and the aspirations I think that everybody has, that I could accomplish those. All I needed was a vehicle, and so it was just this incredible, exciting, exhilarating experience. And the interesting thing about it, Michael, was that none of my friends were there. I mean, these were guys, in their in their early 20s, kind of interested in doing all kinds of other things. I was mentally ahead. I was trying to think of my life. Could I afford a home in Southern California, in 5 years, in 10 years, and realized that in that job environment, as good as it was for what it was designed to provide, it wasn't going to be able to give me that. So this door swung open, and I was, and little did I know it at the time, but I was so fortunate to be mentored by really successful people, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even know what that was. Now I look back on it and I think, oh, how fortunate and how blessed I was to have certain individuals in my life at that time that made a big difference.
Can we talk about some of those mentors?
Oh, absolutely.
Other than your parents?
Absolutely. The first was a gentleman that actually ended up being the best man in our wedding, by the name of Dennis Beecher. Dennis and his wife Kay were part of our upline support team at that time, and this guy just was full of energy. This was a guy, interestingly enough, used to be an undertaker before he entered the network marketing industry. He then became an overtaker, right?
Okay, yeah,
so,
right.
But I watched Dennis and I studied him, and I remember, gosh, I didn't have any money. I wasn't broke. Broke would have been a great place to be. Being at zero would have been awesome. I was below broke. I was in debt from college, but I remember driving from my home to Carlsbad, where Dennis and Kay lived, just to watch him. And the thing that I loved the most was watching how he interacted with people. This was a guy whose heart was so big. He was always an encourager. How we all have certain gifts, right? And I just watched Dennis. I watched how he acted. I watched how he treated people. I watched how he shook somebody's hands. I watched how he encouraged people. And And all of a sudden, I thought, wow, you know what? I don't want to necessarily be like Dennis per se, but I can do some of the things that Dennis does. Okay, so that interaction and that relationship, his wife Kay actually introduced Bethany and I. Long story to that, how that happened. But he was instrumental. He was huge, and just actually ran into Dennis and Kay about 3 months ago at a restaurant in Carlsbad. They live up in Washington now, but it was like just, oh my gosh, you know, there he was. It was like a flashback. So it was really significant.
So let's go back to that decision to enter the profession.
Yes.
So you're in your young 30s,
yes.
Young 20s.
20s, yes.
And so you're doing things that other 20-year-olds are not.
Correct.
So that decision in of itself, you received objections to.
All the time.
And were knocked down.
All the time.
And this is a big part of this book, is to provide an antidote, an emotional antidote to those people that think that they have challenges and think they have issues, to somebody like yourself who at 23 leaves a comfortable position with a terrific upside, but it didn't give you the freedom that you wanted. But I want to focus specifically on the rejection.
Yeah.
And so you're very successful today.
Yes.
It's probably easy for you to receive this rejection.
Yes.
But I know and imagine I still receive it on a daily basis.
Sure.
But I'd like to just throw out some objections and just hear how you would respond to those.
Sure.
Because those that are watching this are feeling it every day, Tom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the first rejections might just be, this is not a business for me. I don't think I'm cut out for it. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, you know, I take every concern or objection or question that people have, and I try to go back to the very beginning that caused our time together, and we always center on the need or desire that Michael has. And so I'd come back to that and I'd say, well, Michael, let's remember, let's keep one thing up here kind of in front of us at all times, and that is that you have a desire to do better financially. You have a desire to have more time with your family and the people that you love and care about. And so let's just keep that over here, okay? Let's make sure that that's in the picture, so to speak. And let's address this concern that you have, this feeling that this kind of a thing is not for me, okay? And I would say, let me ask you a couple of questions. Michael, do you enjoy people? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you like people, do you think that most of us as husbands or men or fathers or whatever we might be, do you think that we pretty much like and want the same things?
Sure.
I mean, you want security, you want to take care of your family, you want to do the best possible that you can. And so if this is over here, this thing that you want, okay, and there's this mechanism over here that says, if you like people and you're genuinely interested in people and you believe in what it is that we're offering to people, what we're really offering is hope. We're not offering a product or an opportunity, we're offering people hope. Don't you think that, wouldn't you think, Michael, that your desire to enjoy and help people it would be connected to your ability to do well? Because here's the principle in life that works, that you can have anything you want if you'll first help somebody else get what they want. And so I know how you feel. I felt the same way. I think, am I pushing something on someone? Am I pressing them to do something that they don't want to do? Or am I really genuinely helping people? And then I'd lastly say to you, I'd say, Michael, you know what? This really deserves your attention, and here, you know, and the ability to spend 30 or 45 minutes to look at this. And here's the reality. If you're right and I'm wrong, all you would have invested is maybe 30 or 45 minutes, and I'm buying the coffee, right?
Got it.
But if I'm right and you're wrong, you could be walking past the answer to getting this achieved and accomplished for your family. It's really about helping other people. It's really about hope. I think you have the kind of personality that would do really well.
Got it. So you were 23.
It's a long answer.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. So you were 23 and single.
Yes.
Well, what about that person that is receiving, rejection from their spouse?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm sure it comes up all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't think we've ever seen a husband and wife on the same page. Okay, they never enter the same way. All right.
Yeah.
It's typically one or the other that has the drive, the desire, the dream, sees the vision, something like that, okay? And the only thing that we hope that can be accomplished from the other person is neutrality. Don't necessarily force them to try to be positive about it. Hopefully just ask them not to be negative and allow you the opportunity to pursue this, as long as it doesn't interfere with the important things in your family and the things that are going on. And so we really try to coach, if you will, couples, that if one of them's going to be leading and driving, a little bit more than the other one, no problem. But let's just hope that we have neutrality from that other partner.
Got it. Have you ever been mocked, or what's the worst, rejection or objection that maybe you've ever faced? Let me just say, when I started with Robbins, I was in Dallas, Texas, and previous to that, I worked for Ross Perot's Electronic Data Systems.
Right.
So I went from EDS,
right,
dressed like you and I are today,
right,
to going to work for Robbins. And my first call that I made was a Metropolitan Life insurance agency, and the guy ripped me in terms of, one, how could I have left EDS to go to work for a guy that didn't appear to be a Christian. That was the first thing that he said to me. And so I'm like, wow, I'm 23 years old,
sure,
25 actually.
Yeah.
Left a wife and daughter
right,
back in Reston, Virginia.
Right.
And I'm calling on this guy, and the guy's questioning my values,
yep,
questioning Tony's Christianity.
Yep.
And I wanted to crawl under a chair and just die, So that was my first call. So
yeah,
I'm sure you've had some of those.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
People will call us today and they'll say, well, so and so said this to me, or so and so quit, or whatever has happened that seems to be really devastating, right? No, we've been called all kinds of names, right? And it's typically always people. Here's what I've discovered about objections or things that people say. Typically, they're always requests for information.
Okay.
We've never ever had or been in a situation where we press our opportunity or our products or what we do on anybody. We spend a lot of time trying to find out what it is you'd like to change in your life, and here's the home run, so to speak. Where do you go today and have a chance? Where does the average guy and gal, and by average I mean not necessarily great sales skills or marketing skills or people skills, but average people with above average desire, where do you go and have a chance to really get economically free in this ever-changing world and economy, this evolving door that all of the things that were so secure one time are not secure anymore? That's what we try to center on. Now, when that happens, when we center everything on what you want, Michael, for you and your family, we kind of diffuse you. We kind of take away the edge of me coming at you, and therefore you mocking or criticizing or name calling or something like that. I've had people say, oh, Tom, you know what, we'd never work as hard as you do. And I go, that's not a problem. You can work half hard, a third hard. I mean, you have the ability to choose whatever it is you want to do. So I think that what happens is when people get criticized, right? And typically the criticism oftentimes comes from the people that are closest to you. Many times your family.
Sure.
I have two older brothers. One's an attorney and one's a college professor, college instructor rather. And both of them choose not to use our products, not the business, just the products from a health point of view, and we offer to give it to them, I mean, so here's my brother, and I love my brothers. We talk all the time. We're not estranged or anything like that.
Right.
But people are different.
Yeah.
And so I think if people approach people genuinely interested in their needs and desires, I think you take away all of the edge about, so to speak, oh my gosh, they're going to attack me, they're going to call me names, or that sort of thing. I think you diffuse all of that.
Got it. And I read that you have been a part of a few launches.
Yes.
So I read originally you were with Amway, and then from Amway to Mittal.
Yes.
And Mittal to, I think, New Vision. And then New Vision now to
Vemma.
Correct. It's awesome. But put yourself in that place as somebody that's just getting started.
Yeah.
So where you were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I imagine that you were in overwhelm.
Yeah.
How do you counsel somebody that's in overwhelm just getting started?
Yeah. Somebody that's just kind of overwhelmed and not sure about this whole thing, we strive to do one thing, and that's create a relationship. You know, we have a motto in our organization, in our family. All three of our children are full-time in the business with us, and that kind of the brand, the Alkazin brand that we try to evoke and advance, is that every person is important. Every individual is important. And so when someone feels overwhelmed, we really dig deep to find out, what are you overwhelmed about, okay? And remember what we keep up top, we keep up center here, that thing, that desire, that goal, that dream. You know, I wrote a training system called the Roadmap to Success, and on page 7 we have people actually do an exercise, life as they'd like it to be, you know, and I make my kids do that every 90 days. I make them rewrite that in detail. How do you want your life to be, you know? And so when you get to kind of that, to the core of what's overwhelming you, is it time? Is it money? Is it what people are going to say or what people are going to think? You know, we look at their launch, we look at the things, first of all, the characteristics that they have to adopt that are not negotiable. And those are, number one, you got to have a dream. You got to be passionate about what it is you want to change, number one. Number two, you got to be coachable. Look, we've already made all the mistakes. We've screwed it up so many times. You know, we figured it out. We've got it down to a science. And number three, you have to be willing to work. So if you can bring those three things, first of all, next, if you can stay plugged in, so that overwhelmed feeling, if you just stay plugged in, hang with us, okay? We try to explain to people, this is not a sprint. This is a long distance race. Okay, you're not going to get rich in 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, but we're going to put you on a path. You know, people, you talk about that mocking thing, right? People say, oh, this is one, you're in one of those get rich quick things, right? There is no such thing as get rich quick. Now, this is get rich if you'll stay with it, you know, and again, where do you go and have a chance literally to do that, right? So we can say you got to stay plugged in and do something positive every day. And lastly, we help them and we give them confidence that we're going to take their skills from where they are to good, and ultimately from good to great. And when we say skills, we're talking about the skills of being able to enroll another person. We know how to do that. We know how to teach it. Now after all of that, it's their choice. Are they going to engage in this relationship with us? Are they going to stay plugged in with us? Because we say this, look, you cannot follow us around every day, you know, figuratively, do the things that we do, follow the system that we teach. You cannot do that and not succeed. It's absolutely impossible, given time. We don't know when you're going to attract the people like ourselves, like you, Michael, like me, that genuinely have that desire for change.
Right. And I hate to keep asking the negative questions,
No,
because it's
please.
not our nature.
No.
But I'm just trying to put myself in the place of the person listening that may be struggling and may be on the verge of quitting.
Absolutely.
What would you tell the person that's on the verge of quitting?
Well, I'd say to that person, I'd go back to that dream, that goal, that thing that they want to achieve, and I'd say, really?
Yeah.
I'd say, Michael, remember you told me you wanted to have more time with your family?
Right.
That you wanted to really be able to give your kids the things that maybe you never had as a young man.
Right.
You're going to give up on that? Really?
Right.
Honestly, you're gonna cash out, so to speak, because of what somebody else thought or somebody else said or somebody else quit. This is that dynamic of staying plugged in.
Yeah.
Because when people stay plugged in, when you stay anchored, so to speak, you then, you know, the mind, the human mind, right, is Bob Proctor, one of my great friends and mentors. I think he's a master of how the human mind works, right? He's taught us in our family so much about this process, about, you know, what we focus on every day grows. You know, Brian Tracy is a big proponent of that, one of the world's renowned teachers about that principle. I'd come back to you and I'd say, really? You're gonna give up on, forget Vemma or our business or what, you're gonna give up on your family? Really? And I mean, where are you gonna go and have this kind of a chance? And I give people, you know, our 4 chapters in our 38 years in this industry, from Amway to Mattall to New Vision to now, you know, we're fortunate to be able to have had a career that's gone nothing but like this. But recent, in the last 9.5 years, it's gone absolutely vertical. Not because we're smarter, you know, all the experts say our skills only get about 5% better per year, but because of the balance that exists in this opportunity right now, it enables the magical word that everybody listening and watching in this industry wants, and that word is duplication. So I say, do you think, honestly, Michael, do you think that I'm more skilled than you or better than you or smarter? I'm not. You know, we're average guys with above average dreams. You know, Bethany used to play a song at some of our events that was entitled "The Dream Never Dies, Just the Dreamer." I said, you gonna let your dreams for you and your family die because of some outside circumstances? No,
Sure.
Hopefully not.
That's good. At 38 years, have you ever wanted to quit?
In the very beginning, many times.
Yeah.
And many times.
What was the toughest of the builds?
Toughest of the builds was the first chapter, was the Amway experience. Awesome company, to the point today, and really the grandfather of the industry.
Sure.
The company that legitimized this industry.
Does $1 billion a month.
A month.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Learned all of my skills there. Dennis Beecher, my mentor in Amway. Ben Barreco Sr., obviously BK's parents, before he passed away, our mentor of recent years. But in the very beginning, that was a tough build. It was a hard build. There was such a stereotype about that opportunity and what it really meant. I remember early on in my first year, having shared the opportunity with 17 people, 17 evenings in a row, spending time with people, and nobody had any interest. I was ready to hang it up. I was ready to be done. And the next, I made a phone call to someone in my upline who encouraged me. You know, had I not made that phone call, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Right.
And the next 5 people all joined me. And so what would have happened had I given up at 17? You know,
Sure.
I mean, we've been so fortunate and blessed to have helped so many people, or opened the door for so many people, right? That wouldn't have happened. The analogy we use, Michael, is, you know, we climb the ladder, and then we turn around and we hold the ladder for somebody else to climb at the same time. And but yeah, for sure. I mean, and thank God I stayed plugged in. Thank God I stayed connected. Had I not done that, I wouldn't have made it.
Let's talk about another near miss. I read that you were in a near fatal accident with your family.
Yes.
And you know, the good thing was you're obviously here.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. But what did you take away from that? You were already a man of faith.
Yes.
Did it intensify it? Did it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Tell me what's happened since then.
What we take away from it, that God wasn't finished with us yet.
Yeah.
Still
working on you.
He had some. Yeah. He had some. He had some plans. It was July 9th, 1975, and we were on our way to a family reunion, and we landed in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh.
And we were driving up the 17 from Charleston to Myrtle Beach,
Sure.
where we're meeting our family.
Right.
And it had stormed that day. Our plane landed late that night, about 11:30.
So those are back roads, Tom.
Those are back roads.
Those are back roads, not very well kept.
Not very well kept.
Dark roads.
Dark roads, no lights.
Right.
2 lanes, but dark and not well kept. And it stormed that day, and it was kind of stormy that night. And we got in the car. It was 12:30. It was around 12:30 at night. We were driving up the road, and Bethany was actually on the phone back to our home, speaking to the gal that takes care of our home. And Chris and Brad and Amy were all in the back seat. We were in a large SUV, and all of a sudden, I saw in front of the road, I saw this like black area going about 60 miles an hour. Nobody saw one set of lights in my rearview mirror, way back. One car, no cars coming the other way, and this black area across the road. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is that? And it came on us so quickly. What it happened to be was 3 feet of standing water on the freeway, on the highway across the road. Well, I hit the brakes. Of course, it was too late. We hit the water. We began to, we hydroplaned, we began to spin. We spun 3 times, and the car then hit the side of the road, went airborne, and barrel rolled 3 times. We landed in a ditch, upside down in 6 feet of water. And actually, when the car actually hit the side, when it hit my side, I think I went unconscious for a minute because it blew out my windshield. And then all of a sudden we're underwater. It's pitch black, can't see anything. And I remember this rush of water coming up on my face and up my nose, and I thought, gosh, where's all this water coming from? Well, the car was filled. It was filling up here. And not realizing that we were surrounded in water, I took a deep breath, my lungs filled up, and I was gone, I was out. Bethany was in the seat next to me, obviously, and she realized that she actually said a little prayer. You know, she thought, oh my God, we're gonna drown, and then all of a sudden she thought, my gosh, my kids are in the back seat, right? And she said a prayer, and I'll fast forward to the next day. Now I'm in the hospital. I'll come through that, but the next day, the car was actually at the wrecking yard after it had been pulled out of the water, and her seatbelt was still strapped across the seat and attached. So somehow she was out of that car, standing next to the car, calling to the kids. Chris swam out through one of the broken windows, and then Brad came out next, gashed his back, and then Amy, whose hip was dislocated, was stuck. She was our youngest, and Brad swam back in the car to get her out, saved her life. In the meantime, when Chris got out, I remember before I passed out, I was reaching, trying for the seatbelt, trying to get rid of it. It was jammed, it was broken, and that was all the last I remembered. Now, Bethany ran up the side of the road, and there'd been a lady behind us in the car who had stopped and had called 911, and so she had made that phone call. In the meantime, 2 guys appeared, and those 2 gentlemen, I never met them, never saw them, but Bethany said they had white T-shirts on, and she said, my husband's trapped down there at the bottom, would you help me? And so they ran down, and her joke, and you live in the South, so you'll appreciate this. She said, beware of those Southern boys with guns and knives, right? But he took out a pocket...
And white T-shirts.
Yeah, and white T-shirts. He pulled out a pocket knife and cut through the seatbelt. Now, I don't know if you ever try to cut a seatbelt. It's almost impossible.
Sure.
But he cut that seatbelt, they lifted me out, and took me up to the side of the road. And by that time, there was a sheriff's officer who... typically at that time of night, it's 12:30 a.m.,
right.
Was due to be 40 miles up the road. Well, he had stopped. There was a fight at a local bar, and he'd been dispatched there, and he came and started performing CPR, and to this day, his name is Lee Gerard. He and I have become great, great friends.
Awesome.
But needless to say, we were, I was in intensive care for a week, but the next day, Brad goes back to the location with my brother-in-law. Bethany's brother Hallie, who pastors a church, and because all of our luggage was in the water, everything we had was in the water, and he was down in the water trying to find everything, right? And Brad's sitting up on the side of the road. He'd been released from the hospital, and these 2 guys came up. This one guy came up, tapped him on the arm, and said, "I'm the guy that cut your dad out last night." Wow. And Brad said, "Oh my gosh!" And he ran down the hill to get his uncle, right? Came back up, and the guy was gone. And so we're convinced that those 2 guys were, believe what you want, but I believe they were angels. And
sure.
I actually hired a private investigator to try to find those 2 guys. We could never find them.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was no car. The guy appeared, Brad remembers, there was no car drove up. The guy just came and said, "I'm the guy that cut your dad out last night."
Wow.
So what did we learn? I'm on overtime right now. That's what I learned.
You're on scholarship.
Yeah, on scholarship, and definitely on overtime. No, it was a night of miracles for our family. It really was, and
that's cool.
We're here by the grace of God.
Yeah. Awesome. Is there a prayer that you say, if you don't mind me asking, or? favorite biblical phrase or declaration that comes
Matthew
to mind?
19:26 says, Jesus looked at them and said, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible.
Very nice.
And that's kind of the verse that's on my desk, and it reminds me every day.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Let's shift gears to some business building strategies.
Sure.
What do you look for in talent?
Yeah.
How do you approach talent, and what do you look for?
Yeah, I don't look for talent. I look for desire.
Okay.
Yeah. There's an old adage that I've adopted years ago. Somebody else said it. I can't take credit for it, but that is simply give me one with desire over 10 with ability any day. So we look for needs, but we look for desire, and if that package comes with skills, that's tremendous. Now, certainly, we're looking for people that enjoy people, that they're happy. They tend to be more positive than negative. But even people with all those skills, if they don't have a desire for change, right, nothing's going to happen. So we look, number one, for a desire for change, and number two, the timing is reasonable. It's never good. Mm-hmm. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got things going on in their life. Oh my gosh! I mean, how would I ever find time? You know, people say I have no time. I said, you mean you don't have time to look at an idea that could show you how to invest part-time hours, and that could turn into full-time dollars? Mm-hmm. Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. I just want to make sure that's what you're saying. You know?
Right.
And again, hey, if you're right and I'm wrong, hey, I'm buying the coffee. But if I'm right and you're wrong, it might be a good 30 minutes to spend together.
I like that.
Desire for change. That's the thing we look for.
Got it. And you talked about time. Talk to us about how you manage your time. Mm-hmm. What does a typical day look like for you? Sure. If you were going to help me set up most of, I would believe these professionals are working out of their home.
Yeah.
But give me just 2-3 strategies in which to set up, manage, and run my day.
Yeah. If I'm helping you get started, okay. We're gonna put all your priorities in order first, right? For us, that's God first, family second, and then their Vemma business, their career and their Vemma business. So we're going to try to, number one, we're going to identify how many hours a week that you have, and rather than, if you might say I have 8 or 9 hours a week or something like that, or 5 or 6, rather than you dropping that into 1 or 2 days, I'd rather have you have an hour or an hour and a half a day where there's consistent habits being developed every single day. Mm-hmm. So number one, we're going to look at the time you have, okay? We have something we do called a strategy session, where we take, after you have shared with us your 3-year, your 1-year, and your 6-month cash flow goals. Okay. We're going to take that and we're going to reverse engineer it right down to this exact specific things that we have to do in order to, and we have a 30-day objective as well. But what are we going to have to do in month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5, in order to get Michael to where he wants to be in month 6? So it's not accidental, and it's not rocket science. It is so simple. People want to be well physically, more so than ever before. Still a funky economy out there, right? People want to be well physically more than ever before. Number 2, people need to do better financially. You know, never before has $500 to $5,000 a month meant more to people than it does right now. So we're gonna, I'm gonna lift your confidence. My goal is to lift your belief that you and I together can do this. So when we, for example, when I would finish telling this short story to you over 30 minutes, we'd answer all your questions and I'd say, Michael, do you have any other questions? And you might say, I don't think so. You know, I'm going to say at that point, because I knew why we got together. I didn't just grab you out of a crowd. I knew something about you that I knew you wanted to change. That was the reason we got together. I'd say, hey, Michael, the next step is, best 4 words that we teach our team to use is I just assume that you want to be, and your family wants to be in great health, number 1. Number 2, perhaps you want to do better financially. So I'd say, hey, the next step is, let's get you in the system. Costs nothing to do that, okay? Let's get some product on its way, whatever, small or whatever you want to begin with, okay? Number 3, let's turn on this free marketing website that you get. It's completely free of charge. And lastly, number 4, let's you and I together go to work this week and help you make some money. So I'm going to help you, A, identify the amount of time you have, I'm going to tell you whether or not that amount of time and that 6-month mark, that 6-month cash flow goal, is that realistic? Okay, because I know whether it is or isn't. And then we're going to break that down. We're going to reverse engineer that right down to what we're going to do together in the next week.
Right, got it. So make it simple for them. Yeah, it's all about simplicity. What have been the most effective ways that you've seen? For me, I think it's people don't have the confidence, Tom, to take action.
Yep.
For the most part, it's what holds people back.
Sure.
So over the years, what would be 2 or 3 tips, ideas, strategies to help somebody just to build the confidence?
Sure.
Just to get started.
Sure.
Just to make that first call.
You know,
like the Metropolitan Life that I did.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great story. You know, as a man thinketh, right, in his heart, so is he, right out of the Bible. And so, you know, what do you think about every day? This is what I ask people. You know, do you think you're not confident? Do you think you don't have the ability? I can't. This is where personal development, from the very beginning, we're gonna work on getting you reading something positive, listening to something positive by some of the greats, right? The Jim Rohns, the Bob Proctors, the Brian Tracys, the people that they're masters of helping us do what? Become more, right? To become more. So, number one, I'm gonna encourage you in this process that, you know, the Henry Ford phrase: think you can, think you can't. Either way, you're right.
Right.
So which one are you going to choose? I mean, we got to start somewhere.
Right.
Now, you may not be, you know, you don't have any success, you don't have any confidence yet, but I'm going to take you by the hand because I'm going to take you in this process. This is not get you involved, pat you on the back, hope you do well. You know, we're going to get really connected through the first 90 days because you're going to lean on our story until you have a story. So we're going to work really hard to get you some results. Once you have results, guess what happens? Here's kind of the process that I described. Our goal is to raise your belief, okay? If I can raise your belief a little bit, even only from our interaction in the very beginning, you getting started, us doing a strategy session and so on, we get your belief up here. That's going to cause you to go to the next step, which is to take some action. We have a small get-together, home event, small group presentation. We get together with a few people, whatever, or one-on-one, doesn't matter. We're going to have some action, okay? And if you follow systematically what we teach, we know that action, number 3, is going to lead to a successful experience. So we got your belief through pretty much faith to take some action. If you follow what we do correctly, that action will lead to a successful experience. That successful experience comes back and it feeds your belief. Now your belief's a little bit higher. And so if we sprinkle that by every day you reading a chapter in a good book, listening to a great CD set or you know, something from a developmental point of view, we're going to slowly but surely begin to change that self-image. We're going to change that confidence. And Michael, honestly, we are a great example of that. And I don't try to be cute or funny about that. I mean, I did not have a lot of confidence. I had a lot of hope, but I didn't have a lot of confidence. Had I not had a mentor, had I not had a lifeline, a connectivity to events, I never would have made it. So when we say, you got to stay plugged in, it's a non-negotiable item. The moment we don't hear from people, the moment people disengage, we know they're gone.
So I want to talk about another challenge that perhaps you've experienced. Have you ever had a large leader, a big group leave your team?
Yes.
And what was it like?
Yeah.
How did you approach it?
Yeah.
And the follow-up question of that was, is it your experience that those leaving find that the grass is green on the other side?
Yeah.
What happened there, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we've had that happen. We've had people at a considerably high level leave. Shockingly, the impression at the time, I was in shock. I mean, this one individual happened to be a really close friend and somebody I had taken into confidence. Not involved in any other relationship other than we were close, right?
Right.
And can you imagine somebody leaving a 6, almost 7-figure annual income because he thought that there was more money somewhere else and more fame and more focus basically on him. It was devastating. It was probably that at that time, it was probably the hardest thing that I personally had to endure.
It's like losing a family member.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, we were that close.
Yeah.
I thought, you
Yeah.
know, I thought we were,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah. So we've had people leave at all levels.
Right.
And
How did you handle it?
It was very, very difficult in the beginning. Happened to be an individual that we had a very public position, so to speak, within our leadership team. And interestingly enough, he thought that a lot of people that were leaders of his would leave. They didn't. He subsequently came back.
Cool.
6 months later.
Okay, awesome.
And left again.
Oh.
and yeah, we thought it was pretty awesome too. There's it's funny what drives people,
right?
You know,
is the old saying, "Fool me once, shame on me"? Is that what it was, Tom?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And you know, I go, okay, Lord, now you got my attention. You know, I think the typical leave for something else is it's easier, it's simpler. It's not easier anywhere else. You know, here's the reality. This takes work, it takes effort. As you can imagine, Michael, I get pitched by every deal. If there aren't 2 or 3 a week, it's a slow week. You know, we decided years ago, we hitched our wagon to the Borrego family. This family, I go back to Ben and Dottie, who was Ben certainly was one of my other mentors. Dennis Beecher, Ben Borrego, Bob Proctor, 3 men that have had
what a terrific triumvirate of power. Yeah, awesome.
Just had an amazing impact, not only, and Bob most recently, not only on myself for over 25 years, but on my children. Has an incredible impact on our children and specifically on our son Brad, who's done extremely well.
Right.
So it was really a difficult process, that experiencing all of that. But I find it's the same thing as people think it's easier, it's simpler, it's faster. Look, when you find, people ask me the question, why Vemma? Okay, my answer is really simple. And I share our numbers at Amway, at Mattall, at New Vision, and today. And I say, you cannot explain these numbers. You cannot explain it. I'm not a master distributor. I don't own stock in the company. I don't get all the company leads. You can't explain this any other way other than the balance in the opportunity, the company, the product, the compensation plan, and the system that I wrote. Those 4 things enable duplication to happen for more people. We've helped over 175 people build an income of over $100,000 a year, passive income of 100+ thousand a year. Some $500,000, some $1 million. Excuse me. So it turns out that I always find it's greed. It's like people who get more centered on money than they get centered on people.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense.
You stay centered on people, and you know, I think the thing here is that everybody who looks at this industry, Michael, who loves what this industry offers and wants, they want a home. They don't want to jump around and move around. They just want a place where they can go to work and they know that opportunity is there the next day.
Sure. I'm fired up to hear that after these years.
Excuse me.
That the opportunity for you just continues to escalate.
Yes.
It's on an upward trajectory. Where do you see the profession evolving, if any?
Yeah. It is. I think the profession is getting set for its greatest growth that it's ever experienced.
Interesting.
And the reason is I think this entrepreneurial spirit, you know, what you're centering on in your book, you know, I think people are beginning to realize through the likes, through all of the great mentors in personal development, they're realizing the greatness within each and every one of us as individuals, right? And all they need is a place to apply that. I remember years ago when I was in the Amway business, I used to go to the W. Clement Stone, Napoleon Hill events by Nightingale Conant, and full arenas of people, 15,000 people.
Are these the PMA rallies?
PMA rallies,
Sure.
yeah, remember them?
Sure.
Yeah, down San Diego Sports Arena, and I'd leave work and I'd go down there and I'd think, wow, that was phenomenal. And I look at all these people that go back to work in their job, I go, but where do you go apply it? You know, if you have that ceiling, you know, and so I think people realize that more so than ever before, they're learning about the greatness within themselves. And of course then I think the industry is evolving. The industry is getting better and better and better.
Right.
You know, our new affiliate program where somebody they don't have to purchase product to be able to get paid,
Right.
where everybody comes in as a customer. It's centered on customers, and it's centered on the desire that an individual has. You want to be a customer? You want to be an affiliate? What do you want to be? I think the industry is set for a major explosion over the next 10 to 15 years, and thanks to the internet, obviously, you know, in Vemma we reach all around the world, 48 countries around the world seamlessly, meaning you can reach a friend in London who has a friend in New York who has a friend in Queensland, Australia, and all that adds up to potentially increase your income.
Does social media take away or enhance?
It's a double-edged sword.
Okay, yeah.
I think it helps and I think it hurts.
Is it still a belly-to-belly business, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think if you can use social media to connect with people, but not to tell the story there, just to connect, reconnect, I think it's really valuable. Nothing's better than what you and I are doing today.
Right.
You and I couldn't do this on the phone. We couldn't do this, you know. There's something about being together. You know, this is first a people industry. It's not a product industry. It's all kinds of products, and services, but it's first people.
I couldn't imagine anything more gratifying than being in business with your family, with your 3 children.
It's a thrill.
Yeah.
We're on our knees. We thank God every day, and you know they made that decision. Each of them, Chris, our son Chris, who's 30 years old. Full-time in the business with us, and you know, worked in a career for 10 years and just kind of watched what was going on. And of course Brad, our son Brad, and he's the #2 income earner in the world in our company. He embraced it earliest, you know, of all. And then our daughter Amy and her new husband David and Amy Stafford, they're full-time ambassadors. I never forget Amy's story. She had a job out of college. She was an All-American volleyball player up at Azusa Pacific University, and got a job, kind of an entry-level sales job, and 3 days a week she had to go out and make 50 cold calls. And she texted me one day. She goes, "Dad, I'm not making my calls, and it's pouring rain, and my brand new shoes are soaked." She said, "Would you help me build my business? I want to get out of this." But they all arrived at it at their own place and time. And it's just a huge blessing, you know, to be able to get together and strategize together.
Got it. What are you most excited about? I mean, you seemingly have it all. So an 8-figure earner,
Yep.
You're the #1 income earner for the business. Your son is in the business.
Yeah.
Your daughter in the business.
Yep.
But what if anything is going to continue to bring out the best in you, Tom?
Yeah.
How has this business, first of all, brought out the best in you, and how will it continue to bring out the best in you?
Helping people.
Yeah.
You know, we love getting involved in seeing people grow and develop. It is the most thrilling thing. You know, for so many years, it was obviously, you know, make the money, you know, get the toys, get the homes, get the cars, get, you know, whatever, get out of debt, whatever it was for, you know, for everybody begins there, you know. We got to do better, you know, can we do better? Is there a way to do better, right? And you know, thankfully, due to Vemma, you know, we've met that and surpassed it, and so it is now today. The thrill for us, the thing that drives us and continues to get me up every single day, is saying, "Hey, see that building over there that Michael built? See that business he built? Michael built that I just put that one brick down there in the corner in the very beginning. I just put that one brick there. Michael and his family built that. It's the most gratifying feeling, you know. You know, in the Bible, Jesus fed people's hunger first, then he talked to them about the Spirit, right? And it's a beautiful combination in what we do in Vemma. We can help people with that hunger, that need to make more money, to get out of debt, to have more time, to travel, whatever it might be. We can show them how to do that if they want to do that. And then we can talk about things that, you know, maybe are way more important.
Got it. You appear blessed with a tremendous energy level. Is there anything that you still pray for? I pray for energy.
Yeah.
I'm always praying for more energy.
Yeah, I pray for wisdom every day. I pray for energy, and of course, you know, we pray every day for, obviously, for our family and our closest friends, for BK and his family, and for the company, all the things that we're closely tied to every day. But I think ultimately I pray every day for wisdom, and because isn't it amazing how we keep learning?
Yeah, right.
I mean, you know, I just, it's to me, it's like, really? I mean, I thought I knew that, and I didn't know anything, and so I just keep, that's my number one prayer every day, is for wisdom.
Got it. Will you rest on the laurels of 175?
Oh no. 175 people? Oh no. We have so many great people coming up, so many awesome people, so many people that you just love being around, you know. I mean, there's challenging people, you know, and we're in a people business, so get ready, because you're going to have challenges. You're going to have, oh my gosh, he's calling, she's calling, you know. You're going to have some challenging relationships, but you're going to have some great ones too. And no, it's so exhilarating. You know, you get to know people here in this profession like like nothing else. I mean, you can go to work and hang out with your buddies and be, you know, and party together or socialize together or whatever, families get together. But do you really get to know what makes somebody go inside? Not usually. You know, I mean, maybe Michael, you have one or two guys or gals in your life like that. You know, most of us have just a small handful of people, but in this profession, you can get to you get to see the inside of watching people dream. Oh my gosh! I mean, it's exhilarating to hear people that had no hope all of a sudden have hope again. Oh my gosh! I mean, and you know, you can hopefully, when the project's finished or growing or developing, you can say, wow, we just put that one brick down there.
So let's talk about that brick. What will be your legacy? How will you be remembered?
Yeah, I want to be remembered as somebody who really cared about people.
Right. That's what I heard from everybody.
Yeah, and it just I think primarily because key people really cared about me. You know, and I, as I look back on it today and think back about it, we wouldn't be where we are had somebody not, you know, helped us at a certain point in time. Not necessarily financially, but they were there for us at that time. So if I want to be remembered for any one thing, it would be that he was someone, and his family was a family of people that really helped people, that really cared about people.
Nice.
And that'll be special.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. How will our audience be able to get a hold of you? Is there a website or
websites?
websites?
Easiest way is email. Just then it's easy. My last name and my old school email of Alkazin, which is ALKAZIN, Z as in zoo, IN as in Nancy, at AOL.com. Somebody the other day said to me, oh my gosh, you're still with AOL? And I go, gosh, old habits die really hard. You know, I do have a Gmail account too, tomalkazin@gmail.com. But just Alkazin at AOL.com.
And mention a couple of the resources. You talked about this one publication. I want to go back to that because, did you say it was a guidebook? What was the... You referenced
our training system?
The training system.
Oh yeah.
Is that available to the public? Or
absolutely,
just
yeah. If you go to our team website, it's myroadmaptosuccess.com, all one word, myroadmaptosuccess.com. There's a tools section there, and that's available. And you know what? We took it. We made it specific, obviously, for what we're doing, but the principles are tried and true to anybody in any company.
Two more parting words of wisdom.
Yeah.
What would you say to that leader trying to get to the next level?
I would say, first thing I would say is be consistent. Continue to endeavor every day to be consistent and to lead by example. I often ask leaders, what stage are you in your business? Are you building? Are you managing? Are you defending? Or are you blaming? Where are you? And if you want to get to the next level, you've got to be building. Yes, we manage, but you have to first be building. So be consistent and make sure you remain in the building phase. You're going to move your business to that next level.
Is it the same counsel for somebody just getting started?
Absolutely. I think for somebody just getting underway is do not have unrealistic expectations. Okay, follow what your mentors and your upline support team is teaching you to do. But Bob Proctor shared a phrase with me that has become almost the motto of our organization. And Bob says, in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to daily trivia, meaning routine, right? Until we ultimately become enslaved by it. Robert Heinlein wrote that in his book, Strangers in a Strange Land, and Bob shared that quote with me. And it's so true. So for the newest person, clearly defined 30-day goals, small incremental steps that are going to raise your belief.
Got it. Any other final words of wisdom, Tom? Anything you'd like to look at the camera and just tell people?
Well, I just want to say thank you to you.
My pleasure.
And thank you for everything, Michael, that you're doing, and for the tremendous work that you're doing. I mean, I just have such respect for authors, leaders, developers like you, people who reach out and they realize, first of all, not only how great our industry really is. This is a great industry. My good friend Eric Worre, says, it's a stone cold fact that we do have a better way for the average person. Not necessarily for everybody, but we got a better way for average people with above average desires. So, Michael, thank you for all you do.
My pleasure.
For everything that you're doing to help people as well.
I'm grateful and blessed
Appreciate
to have
it.
this time with you. I've been partial to this profession for 25 plus years.
Awesome.
And back here in San Diego when we got started, there were two affiliate groups, Tom, that really kept us afloat in the early days with Robbins. One was Remax Real Estate.
Sure.
A fellow named John Asraf.
Sure.
Owned Remax of Indiana. And when I'd get behind in my seminars, I'd call John and say, John, would you send a global fax out to everybody? So
Sure.
This is pre-social media.
Sure.
And he would help us. And the other was the network marketing professionals.
Yeah.
And so they kept us afloat.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be here if it weren't for those leaders that were attracted to our events and attracted to the growth. And so I remain grateful and so fortunate to have this time with you. And
nice.
I just want to thank you again. And thank Haresh for making this possible.
Haresh Mehta and his beautiful wife. Thank you.
Yeah. So at any rate, well, Tom, thanks for having us in today. This has been an episode of Profiles in Persistence. And again, if you look at the leadership that was displayed today, there's a few things should stand out. Number one, that Tom is a giving, generous contributor to others' growth, and that he starts with people first before the opportunity. I encourage you to go on and take on your day, keep making things happen. God bless, and I look forward to visiting with you soon. Thanks so much.